Are you ready to take action to attain the lifestyle of your dreams?
It's a great way to make a lot of money fast.
Hey, what's going on, Clever Investors? Welcome back to the Clever Investor Show. I'm your lucky host, Cody Sperber, the OG Clever Investor, and we have a very special guest here in the studio today. We got the amazing Max Jimenez here with us, who happens to run my wholesaling business. This guy has been a real estate investor for about 6-7 years, full-time, has a very extensive background in sales, persuasion, influence, and he's just a badass closer. And he's revolutionized the way our wholesale business is working, performing. He's getting it back on track. You know, if you guys have been following me for any length of time, you guys probably heard that like June of 22, the world kind of fell apart when it came to real estate.
Absolutely.
Everything pulled back, interest rates shot up, all the buyers moved to the sidelines. Everything just changed. And our wholesaling business went. We were doing about 200 to 200 and a quarter in profit, 225,000 per month in profit, down to about $35,000 per month in 1 or 2 months. Like it just fell off a cliff. And it took us a long time kind of scrapping and brawling our way back. And we didn't even get to like 75, 80K a month in wholesale profits till December. So from June to December, we were sucking big wind. But it still never rebounded.
Correct.
But now we're back on track, baby, because we got Max here back on the team.
Absolutely. I call it the skating down the hill stopped, right?
Jeez Louise.
So it was easy. You know, you lock up deals and you sell them without any effort.
You know what sucks is on the ride up, man, it feels good.
Oh, yeah.
You're cashing checks, you're making profits, everything feels good. On the way down, man, it sucks. The culture breaks, the team momentum, everything shatters. People are starting to look for other jobs. Like you're panicking. It's almost like you're underwater, like trying to grasp for air.
Yeah.
And you can't even get clarity long enough because you're just like in defense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, but then you came in. And so I wanted to have this conversation. I wanted you on here. So I'm super excited that you're here.
Me too. Thank you for having me, by the way. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
You know, you're wearing the right hat. It says champions on it.
You know, here's something funny about this hat. Somebody asked me if I was a Bulls fan. I said, you know what? I was a Bulls fan for a period of time, but I'm a bigger fan of champions, of winners.
Let's go, baby. Well, we want to win. And so I want to have the conversation with you about winning and what we're doing in our wholesaling business to get things back on track. I want to bring some of that closer energy here because you've been kind of known. You made a name for yourself in our space as being a closer. You performed in what we call the Closer Olympics, which is an annual event that a bunch of wholesalers put on. And it's kind of like hey, stop talking about it. Let's be about it. Let's go out there and actually prove to us.
Yeah, your theories work that on the reels that you make.
that you can actually get on the phones, bang the phones, and lock up deals and close deals.
Absolutely.
And you've actually performed in that. And how many people are in the Closer Olympics?
So typically the finalists, competitors about anywhere between 12 to 14. So I competed 2 years in a row. First year came in third place, got the bronze medal. Second year came in top 4. So out of the 12 to 14.
I mean, it's cutthroat. I mean, these guys are they're killers.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got the best of the best. And not only that, you have to remember everything is condensed down to a 30-minute window. So it's highlighted, right? Everything you do is highlighted. Like anything you mess up on and you're just being bombarded with like comments and you got the judges judging you. But it was an incredible experience and I'm glad that I was able to at least place the first year and be in the top 4 second year.
Yeah, that's great, man. So you came over to us, you're local here in Arizona. You came over, started working with us, and right away, you did some pretty big radical shifts.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we didn't have our meeting cadence right. We didn't have our KPI tracking really dialed in. Just culturally, you had to get things back on track.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the number one thing, especially when it comes to sales teams, is understanding there has to be accountability with organization, right? And, you know, one of the things that and I'll get into this a little bit more later if you want to get into this, but, not only did I learn about wholesaling, I actually invested in myself a lot, went through 5.5 years through the Sandler training system. So got extremely with my craft, extremely well with my craft and invested in my craft. So I learned a lot there, right? Not only about tactics and strategies, but also what drives salespeople's behaviors. What is it what are things that you can learn from your attitudes and then implementing the strategy? So definitely when you have a sales team, you have to have some type of accountability, right? And with accountability comes also the accountability from the company to the salesperson. Because if you ask business owners, especially in sales teams, what is your team's KPIs? Most people don't think about that.
Mhm.
What are their key performing indicators? What drives them? What motivates them to get up in the morning and come in and bang out the phones for 8-9 hours a day? So we have to get that fixed first. So the first thing I did was I had a one-on-one with everyone. That's the first thing I did, and have a set of questions that I ask them, see where their mindset at. What was crazy is we had one person actually leave that day because of the conversations we had.
Which is good.
Which is good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing, right? So we have to dig deep into the mindset and allow people to express themselves, especially salespeople, whether they want to go for this ride, because the transparency is like changes are coming, whether you want them or not. Yeah.
And sometimes you need to bring in an outside source to
Absolutely.
create that change.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's been fun the last couple months just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
watch everything shift.
Absolutely.
Starting to get back on track to
Mhm.
where we're locking up, you
Yeah.
know, 8 to 12 contracts a week.
Absolutely.
Now we're in the game again. Things are like, okay.
Feels good, right?
you know, we're gunning. We want to do 150
Oh, yeah.
deals
Oh, yeah.
over the next 12 months. Wholesale deals, right?
Yep.
And what would you say our average wholesale profit is right now nationwide?
So what I'm looking at right now from different sources and our numbers, somewhere around between like 17,500, 18,000.
So, I mean, if you think about that,
Yeah.
150 deals, we can get even 15K
Or exactly.
a deal
Yeah,
times 150 deals. I mean, I don't know what that is. I'm not that good at math. I just cash
somewhere in
checks.
the north of 2 million, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Like, let's bring in some millies.
Yeah, exactly.
And so in order to do that, though, we got to be closers.
Absolutely.
So what does it mean going through all that Sandler sales training? And I
Sure.
remember I was doing some of those methods. I didn't even know it. You know, some of them, like,
most people do.
like
because
if you
it's-
had a magic wand.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
magic wand.
Let's
close.
pretend, right?
Yeah.
So most people do, but they don't realize where they got it from. And I can tell you, anybody who I watch, I can say, okay, that method came from Sandler, right? Like you could tell right away.
Yeah. So going through all that, what makes a closer?
Sure. That's a great question because
Are you born with it, or is this a skill you
absolutely
learn?
not. Absolutely not. Closers aren't born; they are made. However, there are individuals that actually have certain skill sets that make them a little bit better than others. Sort of like, are you a resourceful person? Because let's be honest, you have to have some type of it. Like you gotta have it. You gotta be able to tell whether I'm sitting in front of Cody and Cody's starting to fidget a little bit or he's getting a little bit uncomfortable. You can't just check boxy, right? You have to have that little bit. Can you train them in that skill? Yeah, they just have to be really coachable. But going back to your question is, closers are made, right? I wasn't a closer. I don't have this extensive, like long 20-year career of sales, right? And so, but I was coachable. I was a student. I wanted to get better. And knowing that the only way I was going to get better is to actually go and invest in myself. So the first thing that I always talk about is driving behaviors. That's a big thing when it comes to salespeople, right? Because what happens with salespeople is they tend to kind of want to go out and do their own thing, or they tend to want to, deviate from what the actual plan is. So, and you said a very good word earlier. You said the cadence and rhythms, right? And I'm a big believer in what I call sacred rhythms, and that includes like the meetings, that includes the trainings and everything. So we have to figure out what are the behaviors that we can implement to drive these individuals to be better, because we're not just wanting people that are going to read from a script, right? Because we can hire anybody. We can hire VAs for that, virtual assistants, which most people did. What we want to do is, how far can we push this individual to drive them to do the behaviors every single day so they can see the outcomes, not only making them better in their position, but also them personally, right? That's the first thing. And I came up with the system called PASS, which is plan, attitude, and strategy. And what happens, a lot of sales trainings make the mistake to where they put strategy first, right? So you have strategy, which is your tactics, your scripts, your one-liners,
Overcoming
if you had a magic
objections.
wand,
Yeah.
overcoming objections. And I think it's a disservice to people who actually have a great skill set that you can develop, because we need to first get them to start buying into the behaviors, right? Of the plan. What is the company plan? What are the behaviors? When you talked about the scorecard, talked about, their goals. Oh, here's the other thing too. Not only did I have one-on-one with our team, I actually made them write out what are their goals for the next 90 days. because that's what they're working for. The company's numbers are always going to be the company's numbers. What do you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? So what that does, it now allows me to come and talk to you and say, hey, Cody, is what you're doing right now, is that going to get you is that going to get you closer to taking your mom to that trip? Right now I can coach from that aspect of it. So that's the plan. And then the second thing is that once they have that plan in place, guess what? Now your attitude's a little bit different. You come into work, I got my 90-day goals. I'm more competitive because I'm seeing the scorecard of everyone else. Now we can talk about strategy, tactics, and everything else that can go out and be implemented based around those other two things. Yeah.
I love that. And it's that framework, you can plug anybody into it.
Absolutely.
And this is what I love. Sometimes I love when they're not already trained salespeople.
Absolutely.
Because you can infuse them with the culture. You can use their youthful enthusiasm, and they're a little bit naive. So it's like, hey, this is we don't have to like shed off old behaviors. It's like, listen, here's just some new muscle we want to develop. So just rinse and repeat this. Culturally, we're planting, our belief system into it. For me, I was naturally outgoing.
Sure.
But I was also extremely analytical.
Got it.
So it was like this weird combo of like, I wanted to like run out there and like put on a show, but I also hesitated, procrastinated, overanalyzed, overprepared, overthought everything. And so it was really hard for me to break through some of these like, and I think a lot of people have this in them where there's like two things battling against each other. They want so badly to be great and dominate and be a closer, but they want to hug at the same time. They want just a little bit of reassurance from their people around them.
Absolutely. What's funny about that is my problem was I wanted to be great, but I also didn't have the patience. So I would be on the phones, and then I would if I didn't hear like within the first 2 to 3 minutes of the things that I wanted to hear from my prospect, I was hanging up and I was moving on pretty fast. And so that was a thing that I had to overcome. And I went to my sales coach and I asked him this, because you're right. People do battle with two things. And so I went to him and I said, hey, here's my situation. Here's my problem. And he goes, I don't want you to lose that aggressiveness. He says, because that's what's going to spring you forward. But he goes, be nicer. And I'm like, what does that even mean? What do you mean be nicer? Right. His name was Brad, my sales coach. He's still around. He says, I want you to give it some more time to evolve the sales call. I want you to give it a little bit more time. I want you to keep the aggressiveness. So as I started doing that more and more and work on my craft and practice and take action, I then started to see like, now I'm making the adjustments. But here's the problem with a lot of salespeople when they're on sales calls. They get involved too emotionally. You got to stay out of your emotions. Got to stay out of that call, right? The way you think, the way you analyze how you would purchase something, the way I would look at something, purchase it. We have to leave that out. We have to, when we're on a sales call, we cannot bring ourselves into that call, because then we're going to make decisions for the seller like we would be doing it, like we would be buying it.
Yeah, I definitely had to get out of my own way.
Sure.
My self-limiting beliefs were pretty big in the beginning. In fact, I would much prefer for somebody else to do the selling. Right. I'll run the operations and the tactical shit in the background, but I was forced to get out in front. Because as a real estate investor specifically, you're normally a solopreneur when you first start.
Absolutely,
and my mentor Lyle was pushing me hard to and he used to say, "Listen, Cody, it's your obligation. Stop looking at that." Like I used to do an apologetic sale,
right?
Like almost like I was bothering somebody. Right. Versus like shifting it to being like, no, it's my obligation to like really lean in on this.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Where I broke through is I realized that I'm not actually selling anything. I'm just asking great questions.
Yep.
And when I had that mindset shift to becoming a great rapport builder through asking great questions, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I can ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't have to lead. I don't have to pitch anything.
Correct. Yeah.
All I got to do is lead them in a direction that gets them to discover the truth for themselves.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, let me write out like what and how questions.
Yep.
Because that's really what it is. When you think about it, if you're struggling right now on any level and you're like, God, I just don't feel comfortable like asking for somebody to like take a discount on their home, or would you be willing to do a creative finance offer, or whatever that, or list with me if I'm an agent, you know, like I'm better than the other agents. Correct. List with me. If you're not like really confident and comfortable and have a strategy, just ask a bunch of great questions.
Exactly. And ask permission to ask the questions, right? Something simple like, hey, Cody, in order for me to qualify your property for an offer, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Is that okay? Simple.
And what's great about that is you get micro yeses.
Exactly.
Micro yes, you don't realize how many times those little yeses lead to a big yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what's happening in your life to make you want to sell your house to me here today.
Yep.
If you were able to get your cash, would you prefer to have it quickly, like by next Friday, or would you be okay waiting 30, 60, 90 days to get a higher offer?
Exactly.
Which one works better for you?
Yeah. And then they're making I call it the illusion, but they're making the decision. And then at the end, they're like, yeah, that sounds like it works.
Why haven't you sold with the real estate agent yet? Then they go on this 20-minute, instead of me coming in the front door going, hey, selling to a real estate investor is a much better option than selling through a real estate agent. Here's why. I just reverse it. Hey, why haven't you sold with a real estate agent yet? How come you don't have a bunch of offers through your agent?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't want to pay commissions. No, I've had bad experiences in the past. Whatever their story is, they're going to now sell you.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, I totally understand why you feel that way.
Yeah, I call that the process of elimination, right? So they're keywords that you want to hear. I have time. I might fix it. My friend's a real estate agent. So what we do is then we go that route, what you just said, and we put them through a process of elimination. We don't disqualify prospects. They eliminate themselves based on the strategic questions that you ask. That's the real way to do that. Yeah.
I love that. And listen, guys, we know that you could be anywhere in the world right now.
Absolutely.
But you're listening to this, right? We're increasing our skills and capabilities. So we're grateful that you're here.
Yep.
And if you love podcasts like this, make sure, one, you subscribe, right? So you're notified whenever new podcasts drop. And also maybe share this with somebody that's maybe trying to make more sales. They want to be a better closer. This is a great episode. But we're going to keep going in deeper and deeper and deeper.
I love this.
While we have
this
Max
topic.
here.
Yeah.
Let's keep going with these what and how questions, because I think it's kind of fun. If you're, the biggest mistake new real estate investors make is just talking too much.
Yeah, exactly.
They talk themselves right out of a freaking deal, and they always say the same shtick as everybody else,
everyone else.
which is, I pay cash, I close quickly, I can close on a date of your choice, I'm fast, friendly, flexible, I'll pay all the closing costs. It's like you and every other investor on the planet.
We buy 30 properties a month. We're the big dog in town.
We're so cool. We're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, so what?
So I heard a cool quote a long time ago. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
Right? Which is crazy because people don't care about Max, right? When they're on the phone, they have a problem that needs to be solved, right? If they have a problem, that's the other issue too. Most people go into what I call convincing mode and not sift mode, because not everybody's our prospect, right? And that's why people really get into the mode of wanting to talk so they can feel like try to convince that prospect, right? Well, we can close in 10 days. We can, we pay the most, or whatever the case may be. Because they haven't found the problem to solve. So basically they go into a convincing mode stage, and we don't want to be in that at all. We don't want to be in that convincing mode. We don't convince anybody to do business with us.
I like how you said sift, because our job really as real estate investors is to be as aggressive as we can on the lead gen side and the talking to people side.
Yeah, of course.
As long as we're constantly talking to people, you're going to get a deal. You can kind of suck as a real estate investor. You're going to fumble your way into a deal.
Yeah.
But only if you get out of classroom mode.
Mm-hmm.
Classroom mode is where everybody who's scared, who has self-limiting beliefs, who's been beat up by life, who, when they were maybe signing up for this coaching program or trying to become a real estate investor, their significant other shit on their dreams. So what are you doing? Yeah. Oh, you were doing MLMs last week. Now you're a real estate investor. Oh, you tried to start a business in the past. How'd that work out for you?
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't listen to any of that noise.
No.
First off, if you want to get into real estate, that is the best vehicle for you to ever put energy and love into to figure out how to crack the code on it, because the government wants us to do it. They show us by the tax benefits that they give us. The cash flow is silly. That's how you break free and get out of the rat race. The fact that you can make insane quick cash, like we closed 4 or 5 deals a couple days ago on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I think 4 deals, brought in almost 70K. It's like, where else can you do that without taking on an insane amount of risk?
Correct.
With wholesaling real estate, it is probably the most, it's the best vehicle to learn the real estate business.
Right.
It's the best avenue.
Yep.
It's the least amount of risk.
I agree.
Because you can get in and out of these deals if you know how to structure the offer correctly, if you know how to write up your paperwork correctly. There's very little legal risk or money risk.
I agree.
Because we're putting up a small amount of earnest deposit to control these deals.
Correct. Yep.
Right. And if we did our job on the front end through closing really well, not manipulation,
Correct. Yeah.
not convincing somebody that they got to sign this contract where they get seller's remorse the next morning when they wake up.
Yep.
Because other people in their lives the seller is going to tell somebody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Most people think that that's funny that you brought that up, because most people think that when they get it under contract, the calls are going to stop, the text messages, are going to stop. Like, that's never going to go away. They're going to tell somebody. You just said it. I love that you brought that up. And that's, most people don't even know this. Like, you should be having a conversation with your seller after it's contracted of what are the next steps are. Hey, Cody, what if, your realtor comes in and says, well, how comfortable are you with Max? What are you going to tell them? We're coaching the seller to have these conversations because they're going to happen.
Not only that, if you're wholesaling, you got to show the property.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to stay good friends in a good relationship spot.
Yeah.
I actually had it happen in the past where very early on in my career, I stopped communicating with the seller. I did a good job, good enough, got it under contract. The close was 3 weeks out.
Right.
I went off to find my cash buyer. I took pictures and video, and I found a cash buyer, put it under contract, was going to make whatever, $12,000 or something like that on the wholesale flip. 3 weeks later, we go to close. My escrow officer calls me and goes, Cody, I don't know how to tell you this, but the property closed 3 days ago.
Oh, man.
They sold it to somebody else. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they can't sell it to anybody else.
Right.
She's like, I don't know what to tell you. It's showing in the system as it's sold. Like, we cannot close this deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's impossible. So I called up the seller and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm closing here in a day. Everything's lined up. My escrow officer's telling me you sold it. And they're like, well, I didn't hear from you. So I thought that the deal went sideways or something. So I sold it to somebody else.
Wow.
And I'm like, no. What? Somebody else came behind me, offered you more money.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And because I wasn't doing my job of staying in contact with you and explaining how the rest of the process is going to work, I lost the deal.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? Sue the seller? Even though I had a legal contract, even though I could.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be big bad investor on the Channel 3 News. Screw that. So I had to walk away and lick my wounds. Yeah. And I had to call that poor cash buyer back and say, dude, I messed up.
Right.
I lost the deal, which pissed. And now my buyer.
Now he's mad. Yeah.
Now he's mad. He's done.
Now he's done.
And I actually had to end up selling him another deal and making $0 on the deal. And
just to get him back on
track. And we went off and did more deals eventually, but it was an expensive lesson.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think that's important to know for those of you that are watching is, once you get the deal under contract, I see this mistake a lot and drop it off at escrow. And then they depend on escrow to be that point of contact. Like, you have to realize it's not just your file they're working. It's your job to stay in contact with the seller, not only coach them what the next steps are, but checking in to not rely on the title company at all.
So going back, most new investors, they talk way too much. They're spewing out all these benefits and they realize that there's a whole world of these other things that are way more important than the tactical benefits.
Correct.
Which are stranger danger.
Yeah.
Right? Fear of making the wrong call.
Yep.
Buyer seller's remorse.
Yep.
Fear of somebody that they know finding out and making fun of them for making the decision to sell through a non-traditional channel. Those are almost more important to handle during the initial few calls of building a relationship with these people than the right in the front door.
Correct.
I pay cash, I close quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which goes back to becoming a great question asker.
Yep. Exactly.
Right? Do you understand how the process works?
Yep.
What are your other options if you don't sell your house to me?
Exactly. In the first 5 minutes with us and what I'm teaching the team right now is in the first 5 minutes of the conversation, we're uncovering a few things that are very crucial to the process. Number one is we don't ever ask who are the decision makers, just because decision maker implies that it's the person that's going to put ink on paper always. So typically you'll get the response like, well, I'm the only one, like I'm on title. So we change that up now and we say, hey, Cody, when you go to sell this, not necessarily me, who else is going to have an input on the sale of the property? Right. We want to know if there's somebody else that they confide with, who they're going to need to consult with. If they happen to say no, we will actually engage and say, okay, so what I'm hearing is that when it's time to put everything in writing, it sounds like you don't need to consult with anyone or confide with anyone as far as the sales goes. So we're getting commitment from the seller above that. Because what's worse than having a great conversation and you're moving down the line 30 minutes into it and then like, okay, I got to talk to my attorney.
Yeah.
I got to talk to my real estate agent. And it's like, so we're attacking that up front. And you said something really, really crucial right now. You said about, do you understand the process? The next thing that we're saying is, hey, sellers that sold to us in the past wanted to know three things. Number one is how much money they're going to get, how our process works, and then when they're going to get their money. Is there anything else in there that you think that I'm missing you would like to know on the call today? So we're setting it up front. So not only are we finding out who's going to have an input, but we're also setting up the agenda for the call as well too.
I love that. I'm going to read you guys just a couple of what and how questions, just so you guys can steal them.
Let's do it.
This is just things that I give my students just to make sure that, look, if you really don't know what you're doing yet, just ask some of these. Print this out, put this next to your phone. So when you're making your calls, which by the way, if you want to do
very
deals in this business,
very important to do that. Print out your questions, have in front of you.
I would have 3 things in front of me.
Yep.
I would have my what and how questions.
Yep.
My little script.
Yep.
Right? Because pros use scripts in the beginning.
100%.
Until you internalize it and really
100%.
know what you're doing, have a script.
Yep.
It could be in the form of a lead intake form, or it could be word for word.
Sure.
A lead intake form is just like a bunch of questions with blanks.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, you can fill out the blanks through asking those questions. Or a script is literally like, it'll say, "Hi, my name is Cody Sperber," and it'll show like what voice inflections you want to use and all that. And that's a word for word script. And we have probably 50 scripts in our learning center for our students. So you have your what and how questions, your scripts, and then your overcoming objections cheat sheet. Because nothing is worse than getting hit with an objection when you're new and not knowing how to overcome it, because you get anxiety.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden you blank out. Now you're sweating and you're not even present in the conversation anymore.
Absolutely. There's some for your students, especially our students that are new. There's the reason why most people are fearful of getting on the phones. Number one, because they have no plan. What does that mean? They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know what objections are what they're going to overcome. Number two is that they think that they're just going to get on the phones and everything's going to go perfect. That's absolute worst thing that you can think of. But having those things in front of you prepare you, right? The objections, the questions, the script. And there's no reason why you should not be able to get on a phone call with those 3 things in front of you.
I love that. All right. So I already rattled some off, but I'll be quick. Yeah. What's happening in your life to make you want to sell your house to me here today? What are some of the biggest challenges you've been facing when trying to sell your house? What else have you done to try to solve your housing challenge? Have you talked with any real estate agents or thought about selling traditionally? Why haven't you sold? Why haven't you listed and sold through a real estate agent? Has your real estate agent brought you any offers yet? Right?
Yep.
What about your situation? Were you hoping I can help you with here today?
Yep.
Now, some of these, by the way, it's different. If I'm cold calling somebody, I'm not going to go. So what about your situation? Were you hoping I can help you with here today? Like that would break rapport immediately. It'd be awkward.
I'm glad you brought that up, because most people don't understand there are 3 phases of a phone call, okay, or 3 phases of a sales. So you have your cold calling phase, which is generating an opportunity. You should not be doing any selling when you're cold calling to generate an opportunity. Generating opportunity is what it means. It's just all about qualifying people that are going to go in your pipeline as a follow-up or potentially an appointment, right? Second phase is discovery phase, right? Is this somebody this is where you're going to come in and ask some of these questions. You should not be asking these questions when you're cold calling for sure. And then the third phase is the high level negotiation. This is when you're going to get into condition, and this is where you're going to get into, uncovering what the seller wants or needs versus what the seller actually wants. Because there's a big difference on that. We'll get into that some other day maybe. But most people just convolute and put everything together, and that's why a lot of the calls don't go well. And this is what I tell even our team members and a lot of students, across the country. Like, you have to compartmentalize, or how do you say that word? Compartmentalize, right? So cold calling, don't be doing any selling. Then the second phase is discovery. Third phase is negotiations and discovering how much the seller wants versus what they need. Yeah.
I love that. And by the way, we're hiring in our office right now. If you want to come work directly with us and you kind of have that killer instinct inside you, you want more, you're willing to put in the work, you're a hard worker.
Yep. We're
not looking for lazy people. We're looking for anybody negative in any way, shape, or form. And if you're listening to this and you want to relocate to Tempe, Arizona, or you already live in Arizona, we want you to potentially work with us. It has to be a good fit. Just go to workwithcody.com and there'll be a little link. You're a little website that you fill out some information. It's like a form, and really make sure you take the time to fill that out. Think about the questions. Think about what we're asking you. There's a reason we're asking you very specifically those particular questions. It's going to give us some insight on whether or not you're the right fit for our team. But at any point in time, we probably are going to have 2 or 3 spots available for closers.
Absolutely.
For closers. We want people that want to make a lot of money. Like I said, we got a lot of leads. We got crazy leads right now. We're very lucky on the lead gen side of things because of our brands and our partnerships with certain, lead gen companies, our ability to generate leads using artificial intelligence, just some of the cool tactics and strategies we're implementing on our side. So many of our listeners reach out and they ask us how they can get involved in my actual real estate deals. Our investment firm specializes in finding deeply discounted properties, acquiring them, renovating, stabilizing both single family and multifamily properties all over the United States. That's why we're so excited to share with you clevercapitalfund.com. Now, if you have some investment capital and you want to deploy it and receive double-digit returns backed by real estate, then visit our website and see which fund is right for you. We have both equity funds and we have debt funds where you just get paid out every month like clockwork. All you got to do is visit www.clevercapitalfund.com today to learn more. Because we make so much money in real estate in so many different ways. I mean, our wholesaling business is one little aspect of my world, right?
Yep.
Our developments are going on. We're doing residential developments, commercial developments. We own tons of multifamily, tons of Airbnb. We're in all 50 states. Like we're gunning in all different areas. The 4 deals we closed just last Friday were in all different states.
Yeah.
Right. So we're
states,
all over, mainly focused on like Sunbelt states and where a lot of the cash buyer activity is.
Yeah.
But if you want to work with us, just go to workwithcody.com and fill out the application. See if you're a good fit.
I want to add something to that. The reason why we're making this this qualification process very strict, because we're creating a culture that you're going to come into and not just learn to make phone calls. That's not what we're doing here. We're looking to create people that, that's what we want, people that are coachable, people that are wanting to learn, people that are going to put their ego aside. That's one of the things that ruins a lot of potential, is the ego, because we're creating a culture to elevate high performers, right? We want to elevate them not only in their position, they're like what they're doing here with us, but all around. Like we're constantly like someone's eating a bagel or not a bagel, but someone's eating a muffin. We're like on them. We're like my guy Ryan. I don't know if you met Ryan Overcash. I mean, he's fit as a fiddle. But what are you eating? Like we're creating this culture of pushing and elevating everyone to the top.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. There is a direct connection between your health, your physical fitness, your daily routines, and your sales production.
Absolutely.
You want to make more money as a real closer, you better get all the other shit in order. When I look at somebody and they're just a sloppy mess and they're not trying to better themselves, I'm not saying you got to be chiseled like a Greek god. I'm just saying you got to be working towards it.
Yeah.
And if that's your mindset, is that every day I'm willing to do the hard things and put in the work and sacrifice my sleep and sacrifice some free time and go do the hard things in life, because that's the kind of person I want to be on the other end. Is I want to be ripped, rich, and rare. I want to dominate. I want to set a standard. I want everybody else on that team to know that I'm the baddest motherfucker in this room. And I feel that way. Like when I walk into a room, I don't care who's in it. You could be the coolest influencer on Instagram. And I promise you, when I walk into the room, I'm going to change the motherfucking weather.
Yeah.
Like that's just how I roll. Like I know already, like this environment isn't changing me. If I'm going to light it up, everybody's going to look over and be like, what's up with that guy?
Who's that dude?
Be like, that guy he's confident.
No, I love it. And that's the environment we're creating, right? And it's just going to keep getting better and better. And I messaged you a while back, I think when we first started, like I want to create an environment where people are actually going to leave other operations and or move from other states to work here, because not just to jump on the phones, you can get any job and jump on the phones, but because of the culture that we're creating.
Yeah, and you're gonna have proximity, just that kill a bunch of other killers that are all working in alignment to dominate next to you, which will raise your enthusiasm and intention. If you are flat broke and you cannot actually be in a sales position because you need the security blanket of a paycheck, this is not a good position for you, by the way.
No,
right? You gotta be able to like
that's why one
put
of the
in
questions, one of the questions on the job form specifically asked about that.
Yeah. I'm just putting that out there. We can move on past
sure.
Past that. So all right, so here's some other questions. How would selling to me affect your family? Right? Open up some emotional stuff.
Yeah.
What's your backup plan if you can't find a buyer for your property quickly? Where do you plan on moving once you sell this house to me and get some money? All right. By the way, there was some wordsmithing in there. When you sell your house to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? We're just framing. Okay. Are you at a place emotionally that if you received a fair offer and you got the cash quickly, that you're ready to okay an agreement? And you can even add okay an agreement here today if you really want to put the pressure on.
I love it.
How committed are you to getting this done quickly? What's more important to you, price or terms? How would you like me to proceed? What are our next steps? What would you need for me what would you need to see in order to make this work? Is there anything else that you want me to tell you so you can better understand your needs? Those are like Sandler things.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
and then here's a bonus question. I use this all the time. If they ever challenge me with anything, I always say, well, how do you expect me to do that?
I love that, especially, where that question is really great, works really great is when someone, is looking to go sell in the way of a convenience of a cash offer, but they expect the amount of going on the market, right? So we lay that out and it's like, how am I supposed to do that? Help me out here. That works really well there.
Yeah, especially when they're like, my house is worth $350,000. Like, okay, show me. How did you come up with that number?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, I talked to my cousin. She's a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you hire her to sell your house? No.
I like to assume, like, when she brought you the buyer to make you that offer at that amount, did they put that in writing?
Oh, that's even better. When she told you that it was worth $300K and she brought you that offer, was it in writing?
Was it in writing?
Oh, that's so good. No.
Oh, I'm confused. We used to that helped us out a lot with Open Door and Zillow when they were doing that. So like we would have sellers say, well, Open Door said they can offer me this. Okay, great. So when Open Door came out, did the inspection, did the whole walkthrough, that's the final number they put for you on in writing. Crickets.
Yeah, every single time. Yeah, it's funny, and until they hang up on me or block my number,
right?
Everything that comes out of their mouth is just a buying question or a selling question.
Exactly.
It's just another little objection that we got to overcome. And if this is the difference between real closers and everybody else,
absolutely.
Is that you don't get panicky, you don't shut down, you don't run the other direction.
Nope.
And
you don't end the call. You could end the sell, like you can get to the no, but you don't end the call. You don't ever be the first person that hangs up.
Okay, I like that. That's good mindset.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about some different strategies and tactics. Maybe how important it is to identify personality types. Huge, because I can't talk to Cody the way I would talk to, let's say a grandma, right? That's more steady. Like I have to be able to know, or even, because obviously we're talking about the disc profile, right? We're talking about, someone that could be a driver versus someone that's a calculator, more analytical. You have to present a little bit more facts. Drivers, what happens usually, like I would consider myself a driver influencer because we usually have about two, we blend in two, but mostly lean on the driver side. So we have to be careful and we have to learn that. Do we have to become psychologists? Absolutely not. But we have to at least know the basics of, personality types. So that way we can adjust our approach based on how that person is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like, how much of the way we communicate, it like only 7% of the way we communicate is words.
Yeah, exactly.
55% is physiology.
Body language.
Yeah, body language. And when you're on the phones, we're inferring body language through the phones.
The tonality. So it increases. So your tonality becomes your body language over the phone. Yeah.
Yeah. 38% is tone of voice.
Yeah.
55% is physiology. 7% is words.
That's if you're in person though.
Yeah.
When you're over the phone, that changes. Like the tonality now becomes your body language. So it's important. So one of the frameworks of our conversation the way we approach the call is we always start, and this is the mistake I see a lot of people make. They call people, I have Cody's information, I have his phone number, and they start off with, hi, I'm looking for Cody, or I'm trying to reach Cody. So I tell my team, that's not the way we start the calls. We assume the relationship and we say, hello, Cody. We do it in a firm tonality until we can see what's coming back on the other side. Then we make the adjustments. Our tonalities are going to be a higher pitch inflection or a downward tonality based on how you respond toward that pattern interrupt. Because that's what it is, right? Our call is a pattern interrupt unless we have something scheduled. But we have to I have to insert confidence in Cody. I can't start the call very wishy-washy and uncertain because Cody's going to be like, this dude's not confident. Like you've lost total confidence. You've lost total confidence in the prospect. So it's our job to instill confidence in them. And then we have to now start to activate our listening skills to figure out what is coming on the other side. Because I'm not going to talk to Cody like if it was someone like a grandma or somebody that's a lot more slower talker on the other end.
Yeah, and if you don't, because you brought up pace and tonality.
Correct.
Right? This is especially crucially important on the phones because if you do get a grandma or a good old boy from Texas, and Cody is the one making the calls, and I'm a driver by nature, and I talk fast, and I'm excited about what I'm doing, and I maybe just drank my morning cup of coffee or took my surge or whatever, and I'm all fired up. and grandma answers and I'm spitting off, game at her, it's going to break rapport almost immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Our only job on the first phone call is not to negotiate. It's just to build some rapport.
Exactly.
Just a fact-finding mission. Like you said, sorting.
Yeah.
We're professional sorters.
Yeah.
And hey, we get to a place where we build a little rapport, some connection. We find out if they're willing to sell.
Yeah.
What we kind of get a gauge on their time frame of whether they're willing to sell. We're always trying to identify. There's two things you need to do a wholesale transaction. It's mandatory.
Yeah.
Now, there's other types of creative deal structuring we can do without these two things, but you need two things if you're going to do a pure wholesale transaction. And you need motivation and you need equity.
Yep.
If they don't have the ability to take a discounted price because they owe more than the house is worth, then you're screwed. You're not going to do a pure wholesale deal. And if they don't have any pain, housing pain or financial pain, they're not going to do a wholesale deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so our first few phone calls is just build a little relationship, see if where their pain level is. We're trying to find those hot buttons, and trust me, their job is not to tell you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're not going to lay down, take my house.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, oh, you have no idea how bad last night was. I just got out of jail. My car is impounded. Can you help me?
Yeah,
that's very rare.
That's not good. Yeah.
And so,
and even if you have someone like that, we have this theory. I learned this the pendulum theory, because that's a motivated seller, right? And they're basically moving really fast. We got to pull them back, right? Because they're at the sold stage. We got to pull them back, 2 notches back, because sold stage is 3 o'clock. So we got to pull them back to like about the 5 o'clock, because if they make the decision too quick, they're going to ghost you. You're going to see that DocuSign that says read, but never signed.
Yeah, because it's just moving too fast and they haven't built a relationship with you. They don't have that confidence. And it only takes one little thing to knock that whole thing off.
But going back to the point of the conversation you were bringing up, trying to uncover, building a little bit of rapport. There's actually, for those of you that are listening, maybe you're like, man, well, how do I know, or what do I do? I always tell people, gauge the conversation by these 3 keys. So number 1, is there cooperation from the seller when you're talking to them? Are they answering your questions? Now, and then is there engagement? Are they engaged with you, right? Because they can answer the questions, but they can answer them very wishy-washy. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. One-word answers.
Yeah, one-word answers, right? So we gotta make sure that there's engagement. And then is it reciprocal? Are we having a dialogue, or is it more of an investigation going on here?
Yeah, so you're interrogating them.
Interrogation. Excuse me.
Yeah, I get what you were saying.
Yeah,
they're just answering bare minimums.
So if you're new, use those 3 things to measure the phone call, the conversation. If you're getting 2 of them, you're winning. The goal is to get 3. Yeah.
I love that. And do some basic understanding, or have a basic understanding of their personality type. Because if I'm talking to grandma and I'm rapid firing, I'm breaking rapport. I need to identify and slow my pace down.
Mm-hmm.
If their tonality is really kind of calm and chill, I got to lower my tonality. There's a matching and mirroring thing that needs to happen in order for them not to go crazy.
Yeah.
And be like, this person's just rubbing me the wrong way and I don't know why.
Yeah,
it's because you're a driver, or I'm a driver, and you're amiable, and I'm not letting you be amiable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're trying to get them up to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best book that I've actually bought to learn how to, mirror and match and tonality is actually Never Split the Difference. But you have to get an audiobook. The audiobook version.
Yeah, Chris Voss is fantastic. It's one of my favorite negotiation books ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so good.
Now, it's not Chris Voss actually narrating the book, but the guy that actually narrates the book, he does a phenomenal job. Like the pitch and the cadence.
The late night.
Yeah, the late night. FM
DJ voice.
How am I supposed to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. How would you like me to proceed?
I must have upset you.
Yeah. You start calling out all your own, your own things.
Yeah, fall back.
Yeah. And let's talk about some of those. So we talked a little about pace and tonality. Sometimes if I get like a hardcore driver, one of the first things I do when I realize they're trying to overpower me for control, I just do a hardcore takeaway.
Yeah.
I pull back and I just say, listen, I could already tell by talking with you, we're probably not a good fit for each other.
That's
right. Like I'm taken away, when I am a good fit for people, like I typically can pay top dollar and close quickly. And it becomes a great back and forth, a good relationship. But it just feels like right now you just want to punch me around a little bit and then get off.
Well, that's what they want to do. I was going to say, why that is, because this is what they want.
Yeah.
You know,
So if you're
dominance.
looking for me, just be a punching bag. I'm probably not a good fit for you. I'm looking to actually work with sellers that are serious about getting a top dollar cash offer
I
quickly.
love that.
And just kind of do a takeaway.
Yeah.
And whoa. I'm not trying to punch you. Like
I'm
now,
sorry. I've had drivers actually apologize to me.
And here's the best thing. When you crack a Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all or a driver, somebody that needs to be in control, and you crack them,
absolutely,
they are the easiest laydowns.
They are.
They are the best sales. Every single one. First off, I know that I'm a closer because I'm a buyer.
Yeah, because you're a buyer.
Oh, dude, I'm that guy in every seminar. As soon as another good closer is like up on stage, I'm throwing my credit card at them. I'm like, I'll buy your shit.
But that's the whole that's the thing, right? With drivers is they make decisions so fast that the first initial, if there's no trust yet in the relationship, like the guard's really high because of that. Because I'm a driver, like I'm the same way. Like if I want to do something, I'm just gonna do it, or buy something, I am just going to do it, even though I'm a closer myself, but I make decisions that way too. So that's the thing with drivers is their number one fear is the person that they're talking to is going to take advantage of them because of the reason that they make decisions really fast.
So what are some other good techniques? How about a reversal?
Yeah, softening and reversing statements.
I like reversals because, sometimes somebody will hit me with something like, I don't want to sell at a discount. And immediately I go, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Nobody said that that's something that you should do.
That, I mean, I like, when they say, hey, well, I know that you're an investor, some of those low ball offers, you're one of those guys who gives low ball offers. Okay. No, and that's fair. I get what you're saying. When you say low ball offer, what do you mean by that? I want to get their understanding of what they're trying to say. Because here's the problem too. I love softening and reversing. You brought that up because even in not in a situation that I just described right now, but when people make statements and ask questions, people tend to really reply to the statements like they're questions or answer the questions right away when they have no idea what the intention is behind. And so softening and reverses actually help with that to get more clarity. Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of times you find out it's not even that big of an objection.
Yeah. It's not that big of an objection. But you got to ask them to clarify. That's one of the 6 keys. So I have in bonding and rapport, they have 6 keys that I go based off of. And then one of them is that get clarity. You have to get clarity. You can't just assume and run with whatever the prospect is telling you. Yeah.
Guys, can you imagine if you had this level of sales training just every day? And you were working with us, and we were just grinding it out on the phone.
Our team's loving it, yeah.
And we're banging that button and ringing that bell all the time. Another one under contract, another one under contract. We are driving right now so aggressively towards 150 closed deals in a 12-month period. We're going to do it. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And it's cool to watch the performance of the other people that were maybe average or performing average, all of a sudden becoming top performers. Why does that happen? Well, that happens because they have the right coaching, the right leadership is there. And now they're in an environment where that competition is pushing them so much harder. I'm watching across the desk, Brooke get her 3rd deal this week. And I'm like, what the fuck? Fuck this. I should be the one ringing the bell, right? Like I should be the one counting my future commission checks coming in. And instead I'm sitting here getting frustrated and stuff like, you got the wrong mindset. You're coming across desperate. You're not showing up. You're not banging the phones hard enough. No wonder you're not winning. You're whipping your ass because she's showing up and putting in the extra work.
So we had a guy, Chase, who's become this silent killer all of a sudden out of nowhere. And so he didn't come in yesterday. He had some problems, but he had he worked from home, and we got him on a call because we're moving a deal. This is the environment that you have to create this environment. It doesn't just happen. He calls, he's talking to one of our dispo managers because they're selling one of his deals. And I go over there and I say, is that Chase? I said, Chase, because you're not here, Josh, our new guy, is actually drinking your milkshake, bro. And not only is he going to drink your milkshake, he's going to steal the whole cow. And he's like, you can hear him through the speaker just yapping. Oh, wait till I get back watching.
That's good. That spirit of competitiveness really. And it's funny, so many times people shortchange their potential.
Yeah, they do.
Because they are not with the right team in the right environment. And it's like you take an average person and turn them into a top performer with just a few tweaks.
Yeah.
You can be one of the biggest money-making closers out of any of your friends with just a couple of core ingredients.
I learned, so years ago, we used to use, maybe 2 years ago, we were heavy on using the predictive index. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So it's kind of like a personality test.
Okay.
And we were higher and really hardcore based off the predictive index. And it tells you, if you're it's almost like a DISC test, but it's a little more thorough. So we were always looking for a specific personality, which is called the Maverick personality. Like, this is the guy that's totally driver and running 100 miles an hour. And what we found out is that a lot of those guys, even though they'll do close deals like right away because of their style and the way they, the way they're so aggressive, but then 30 days later to 45 days later, they become culture vultures, right? And so they start to, be a little bit of a cancer in the culture. So what we did is we analyzed, and this is actually what Sandler taught us. Like, we didn't need to have that type of personality. We just needed someone that was coachable, that can follow a process, that can follow a framework, and put their ego aside, and they would flourish. And we started to see that. So we threw that predictive index out and would give people an opportunity that basically fit under those 4 things. And that's why you're seeing this. Someone that could have been, that's someone that you saw that was at the low end of the table, with deals. All we did is tweak some stuff, and now they're stepping up and being high performance. It's not all about the rah-rah. It's not all about, you got to have this aggressive dude. Like, we just need somebody to follow a process that is coachable and that puts their ego aside, and they're going to thrive. Yeah.
I love that. I feel like, especially right now where the market is heading, if you're trying to do things on your own, it's just so much harder.
Yeah,
it's so much better to be part of a team.
Absolutely.
The accountability and the energy is just, you're going to get the best out of yourself.
Absolutely.
What are some things that you do on a daily basis that just kind of get you personally, just from a habit standpoint, that get you in the right mindset to go to work and just dominate?
Man, so I have a very strict morning routine. I've had it for a long time. This comes back from the things that I used to before, but I'm always, so something I learned, we had a Navy SEAL guy 3 years ago come in and train us, and very eye-opening, because I was a person, I was absorbing everything, reading every book, watching every YouTube video, listening to every podcast. And what he said was, he would ask this question like, what are you reading right now? Or what are you watching right now? And he said, what have you done in those, like, of what you watch or read, what have you done? And like, well, I haven't done any of that. I just like to read it. He's like, well, you're not really educating yourself. You're only entertaining yourself. And I was like, very eye-opening for me. So I'm very even intentional with what I read and what I listen to as well. So I'm up at 4 a.m. every single day. Up at 4 a.m., do some meditation, prayer. And then you see me, right? I tag you. I'm like, I hope he doesn't get bothered by me tagging him on all this stuff.
No, I love it, dude. You're showing up.
Yeah, of course. And so that's always been a habit of mine is Jim Rohn, which you know who he is, right? One of my mentors, my very first mentor said this, rarely does income ever surpass self-development, right? Almost never. And so even though you get to this stage, most people think that it's hard when you're starting, but as you start to go different levels, and I equate this to the Mario Brothers game, right? You remember Mario Brothers, like level 10 was super hard. You got the steel doors and all that. Well, that's where I'm at, right? Like I'm elevating other levels, and it gets really harder because the demand for you to perform is even more higher. So I need to do my morning routine. I'm very strict with that. Always working in, with if there's something that I need to work on, I'll pull a book out. I got a whole library of books. And then obviously, I go to the gym 3-4 times a week, and try to eat my best, always trying to reorganize, but yeah, very strict with the mindset stuff, continuously growing. Yeah. Shifting.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite books?
So right now I'm currently reading, what's called, Leaders Eat Last. I love that book. Yeah, that's a great book. And then the other one that I'm reading because of what I'm doing here is, I think I shared it with you, it's called Sales Boss, just kind of going over again. Talks about the, the sacred rhythms and coaching and all that. I just hadn't pulled it out in a long time. So yeah. The reason why I like leadership books is because people think that leadership is being over someone, right? And I think the mistake is like, you got to have leadership skills even in your own life. Like, you said this earlier, right? Like, how can you control, or how can you be excelling in other areas when you're not even being a leader in your own life, in the own things that you're doing? So that's very important to me. And I love leadership books. Like I've read Jocko's book, Extreme Leadership, the Economy of Leadership, excuse me. It's Extreme Ownership's the other book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's great. Another great book is The Greatest Salesman in the World.
Oh, yeah.
Og Mandino.
Yep.
Yeah, I read that once a year.
Okay.
Every year I read that book. I've been reading that book
nice.
It's a great book. Okay. Well, look, here's my thing with, once you have the ability to close, you can apply that towards so many other areas of your life. And it drives me crazy when people are like, I'm just not a salesperson. It's like, no. What you're telling me is that you don't love what you're doing so much, and you don't believe that it's your obligation to share it with others. I'm coaching, I don't want to say who it is, but phenomenal real estate investor. Very super high level. One of the best in the world at multifamily. I don't even want to say what gender. They are.
That's good enough, I think, right?
Yeah, for nowadays, they are starting to really get into education.
Sure.
And they are hosting their first event.
Nice.
And we had this long conversation because I said when they come to the event, because they're about 60 people paid 10 grand to come to this event. And I said, congratulations, that's massive.
That is. Yeah.
You have done such a good job building your personal brand. You've done such a good job proving to the world that you are the authority in this space, that you had 60 people pay 10 G's off of a few posts to come and see you for 2 or 3 days and learn from you.
That's amazing.
That's because you're the best. And I believe that you're the best. That's why they are one of my mentors. And they said, I said, what are you going to do with them once you're done with the event? Like, where do you lead them next? And they were like, well, I don't have anything. And I'm like, what are you telling me here right now? Like, you're not going to sell them into something else? No, I just want them to get educated and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so let me just get this straight. You don't believe that you're the best in the world to guide them for the next year and navigate them through the changing market and guide them toward, no, I do believe that.
Right.
So, but you're going to let other people in the industry take them after you train them a little bit and take them and do deals with them and take them and bring them to their events and take them and get them into their coaching programs and all. You're just not going to do anything? No, I don't want to feel like I'm selling them anything.
Right.
I'm like, you got the wrong mindset.
Yeah, that is.
This is your obligation.
Yeah.
You are the best in the world. If you believe that you're the best and that they need you, then it's your obligation to sell them.
Yeah.
And instead of selling them, let's call it enrolling them. Let's enroll them into working with you for the next 12 months. So that way they get the results they're looking for. Don't let a single person leave this event without enrolling into your next step of your program.
I love that.
And they were like, I never thought of it like that. I just don't want to be a cheesy salesperson. I'm like, well, you're making it awkward. You're making it awkward by doing this apologetic, weird, non-sale bullshit. Like, get your head on, show up to this event, dominate.
Yeah.
You know you're going to deliver way more value than that they're ever going to pay you for. You're going to give them millions of dollars worth of game. Show up and act like you're the best.
I love it.
And they were like, okay, I might do that. I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to do that. I said, listen, when you're done being a little bitch and you wake up on the right side of the bed, call me back and we'll come up with a strategy to actually enroll these people into something else. I think they're going to do it. And I think they should do it. And I think it's your obligation. People are like, I've sold $100 million worth of education so far. Well over 100 million.
That blows my mind every time I hear that, man.
You see me on video and I lean in. I'm just like, boom, we're doing this. And I come from like 30 different angles and I got a whole thing because I believe with all of me.
I love it.
This isn't an option.
Yeah.
This is an obligation.
I love it.
And when you attack life like that, I believe that with my health. I believe that with my spiritual side. I believe that with my relationship, being the best father on planet Earth. This is my obligation.
Yeah.
I don't have any other choices. And when you show up in life with that much intention and enthusiasm, people enroll themselves.
Yeah. They it's called they gravitate to the energy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I posted this on my Instagram probably last week, and I put a picture of my grandma who passed away probably in I think it was 2017. And I asked the question, is like, if you're not taking your success personal, right? Whatever that is, success, make it, or trying to be that miracle for your family, like, what are you even doing it for? Right. And I love that you're bringing this up because a lot of people don't think that way. That's what drives me. Like, I take what I do. I'm very intentional. I know I deserve it. I work for it. I've been in the trenches. I've done everything that I know, done it right. Right. So every door that opens up for me, I know that I'm walking into it. And I'm not only walking into it, I'm going to dominate it. I'm not just half stepping there or winging it. Right. And so that's what I asked that question. Like, if you're not taking it personal, what the hell are you doing it for? What are you even half stepping in this game? It always blows my mind how people think Like, because this stuff's not easy, man. Like, why even half step it? Waste your time.
Yeah, and that includes with eating like shit and partying hard and hanging around with losers and all this stuff. I'm like, no wonder you're not successful. Look at your environment. Look at your inputs. Your inputs are so jacked. If you want this magical output, but your inputs suck.
Yep.
Inputs determine your outputs.
Exactly. Can't make withdrawals.
That's why the second you're up and you tag me into, I'm like responding almost immediately.
Yeah.
You know why? Because winners get up before their alarm clock.
Exactly.
I'm up already, baby. I'm so excited about what I'm going to do that day.
I love that too, man. That motivates me because I'm like, man, you've been doing it for a long time, longer than me. And I'm like, you're still up getting it.
Hell yeah. I can't even, don't get me wrong. I want to sleep well. And I think a healthy night's sleep is important, but my goals and my dreams are driving me forward. I don't need anybody to pull me up a mountain.
Yeah, me either.
Like, I don't feel that way at all. I'm like, get the fuck out of my way. I'm charging up this hill. And because I do believe it's my obligation to bring everybody with me. So who wants to go?
Let's go.
We're going up this damn hill. And you know what? Winners win together. There's a lot of room too up there.
Yeah,
it's cool. And here's what else is kind of fun as you move up different layers of success. The hate, the negativity, the undermining stuff. Like when I got around people that were just starting to make money, there was still a lot of that like Real Housewife shit.
Yeah,
who's got a bigger dick? And it's like shut the front door. Like I'm not thinking like that. You know how many people that are way more successful than me? Like you got to be humble.
Well, that's the funny thing because you look at billionaires and they don't even like
they're in jeans and a pickup truck.
Well, I mean, not only that, but they're not measuring. You know what I mean? Like you're just talking about.
They measure, but in different ways.
Oh yeah. Of course.
They just like the fact that they own a couple islands and that somebody wrote an article about it. You know, but at the same time, you do get to a level at a certain point where all the negative bullshit goes away.
Right.
And it's a great place. I'm there right now. Like my friend group, we've done such a good job eliminating the negative, like kind of bozos that don't add value, don't show up with the servant's mindset. And like every room I come in, my first thing is like, how do I serve all these people?
Yeah, of course.
Right away.
Yep.
I'm like just trying to show value with no expectation of anything in return other than I'm here. I'm here to play and I'm here to serve.
That's great. I love that because you got a servant's heart. So
and it always pays off. I'm telling you, if you do that,
it does.
And what's funny is I'm around people that sold their business for 250 million. It starts normalizing.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, God, I used to think 250 million was a lot of money. Like, this guy did it.
Yeah.
He's my homie. Like, we're homies. Like, I could do this. If he could do it, I could do it. Yeah. I'm just in the wrong vehicle.
Yeah.
And we see people work their whole entire lives in the wrong vehicle and they're really talented and they're very hardworking, but they can never get ahead because they're in the wrong vehicle. Yeah. But when you're in the real estate vehicle, you can do it.
Yeah, you can.
When you're in the entrepreneurship vehicle, you can do it. And the number one skill set, I would say, for any new entrepreneur or any real estate investor, the number one is sales, persuasion, and influence. Without that, you cannot do the rest. You can hire the rest of the business.
I don't think you can separate sales from entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? It's solving problems, right? How do you solve problems? Skill set, tool set. What is the skill set? It's sales. So there's no way you can say you're an entrepreneur, but you hate sales. Now, you might not be involved in the day-to-day, like the phone calls and all that, but you cannot separate entrepreneurship from sales.
I love that. That's the energy, baby. We want to be closers through and through. Workwithcody.com if you think you have what it takes to come and work with us. And it's a great way to learn. But I will say this, though. You better be a loyal motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing irritates me more than us pouring into somebody and them just using and abusing and then taking off and trying to compete with us. That is the fastest way to burn a bridge.
Absolutely. That's why not only is the questionnaire, it's supposed to be difficult, it's supposed to be, but when I call you, I'm going to blank ask you that I need at least 12-month commitment. If you're not here for at least to stay for 12 months or more, then don't apply.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit. No, we want loyal people.
Yeah.
And a lot of my people, you guys, you know, if you look at my team, they've been with me 7 years, 8 years, 12 years, 15 years. Like I don't have a lot of turnover because I give people the path. I'm like, look, you want to, if you show up and you show me, I'm even starting to do it with you.
Yeah, you are.
If you show me that you're a player, I will show you the path towards financial freedom. Over time, we will win together in a much bigger way than if I didn't have you and you didn't have me. I cannot do this business without you here showing up with the energy. I mean, we were failing.
Yeah.
It was average at best, and we couldn't get it back on track. So we needed some new energy. So that's how it works.
We're here,
1
baby.
+ 1 = 11, baby.
Let's go.
All right, listen, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We made it an hour and 5 minutes talking about closing and being a closer. So hopefully you got some value out of this. If you did, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast, share it with some friends. And by the way, do me a favor, go and review this podcast. Do that for me right now. So many people will do a negative review online when something pisses them off, but very few people take the time to go do a 5-star positive review. It helps us in a major way. I can't tell you, we do all this for free just because we want to add value to you in your life.
We just gave a seminar today.
Yeah, no shit. That was really good. All you got to do is share it and just show a little bit of love back with maybe some positive reviews. Okay, we're out of here. Until next time, take care, comb your hair. Peace. Hey, Cody Sperber, the original Clever Investor, host of the Clever Investor Show podcast, and I'm shooting this ad right now to let you know that this podcast exists. It's finally out, and we have some amazing guests. So please, I'm begging you, can you just come and give our podcast a listen? I've been doing real estate for a really long time. I've accessed some of the coolest people in the world. We were having all these amazing conversations, and I'm like, what are we doing? Let's record this and actually put it out on a podcast. But the problem is, I have to let people know about it. That's where this ad comes in, and this is where you come in. You're going to be able to learn from successful entrepreneurs, get in-depth interviews from amazing leading experts. You're going to learn real estate investing strategies and tactical trading strategies that work in today's market. We're going over market analysis and different market predictions. You're going to be able to engage in an awesome community. And we go into some pretty deep dives on the mindset of what it takes to win the game of money and in life, plus lots of bonus resources and exclusive content. So what you're going to want to do right now is click the link that you see on your screen and give the show a subscribe today. We have amazing guests like Ken McElroy and Robert Kiyosaki and Wes Watson and Pace Morby and Jamil Damji and Vina Jetty and a whole host of amazing men and women entrepreneurs that you're going to love to learn from and get to know. So what you want to do right now is click that link and give the show a subscribe today.